Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Herbert Harris. All right, we got all of our stuff hooked up today. This is Dr. Herbert Harris, and this is Motivation Monday. Thank you for joining us. Let's see, Robinson, Estep, Quentin, thank you for joining us today. Wow. Hey, folks, what an incredible day today. It's Monday, and we're off to a new week, a brand new week with great things happening. You know, all of our sessions are based on our book, The 12 Universal Laws of Success, and we take our topics each day from the book. Our topic today is one that I really want us to think about. Are you in a rut? And this is an interesting piece right now as we begin to close out our year. The things that we do from this point on to make this year our year for outrageous success must be very deliberate. We can't spend dollar time on penny jobs. Let me say that again, because you can take that to the bank. We can't spend dollar time on penny jobs. And one of the things that causes us to spend dollar time on penny jobs is being in a rut. So the thought about a rut, though, is that it's not fatal and it's not permanent. You see, the difference between being a rut and being in a hole is this. You can be in a hole for your entire life. Some people can be in a hole, and a hole just means that you are pursuing a particular outcome and working at it diligently, but just not getting the right results. And there's some people that keep working at something and working it and never, ever get the desired results. That's being in a hole. Okay. The key to being in a hole is to stop digging. In other words, if you're digging, if you're in a hole in your life, if you keep getting the same results over and over and over, stop digging. Whatever you're doing, stop. A rut is a little more subtle. You see, you can be in a rut and you're doing things. It's just that you're doing them without necessary intention. But the beauty of a rut is this. It's not permanent. A rut has a beginning and a rut has an ending. The profound aspect of a rut, though, is you choose to bring it to an end. You choose to get out of a rut. So a rut may be a job that you hate. And, you know, many of us have had jobs. I know I've had a few. A job that you hate. And the only reason you're going there is because you need the money. Now, there are other aspects of a job. When we talk about your right work and how to approach a job, that's a whole nother elevation. But for purposes of a rut, you may be in a job that you go to day after day after day, 40 hours a week, 8 hours a day, 40 years, and hate every minute of it. That's a rut. What does it take to get out of it? A decision, a choice to do something different. Sometimes a rut may be a relationship. You know, people can get into relationships where they feel very comfortable with each other. It's not all you want it to be. Maybe it doesn't have the fire, maybe it doesn't have the passion, but it maybe it's safe. Maybe it's security. Many people live a life of safety and security and endure, and I'm going to use the word strongly, endure a relationship that they dislike. But, you know, in making choices, you choose the outcomes that you're comfortable with. So some people, it may be so important to have security, to be in a relationship with somebody who has a good job, okay, who provides, you know, food, clothing, and shelter. And that may be so important that they overlook the fact that the person disrespects them, that the person is mean to them, that the person abuses them. Sometimes people can be in a rut because of a lifestyle. it's easy, in this world of, you might say, materiality, it's easy to get into a situation where you're spending your valuable time maintaining a lifestyle that you feel is important to define you in somebody else's eyes. I have a friend that, God bless her, but she is so into, what do you call it? Name brands. Even her children, like a 2-year-old has name brand sneakers. 2-year-old can't even read, doesn't even know what a name brand is. And I'm not saying this, but I'm just saying this is something that has literally consumed her life. And so that everything is in reference to this name brand thing. And when you really get behind it, it's because she wants somebody else to think that she is someone else defined by that name brand, that Gucci bag, those Air Jordans, whatever those material things are, to make her feel that other people think that she's all right. So this rut thing, I just wanted to deal with it a bit today, because as you begin to move into closing out this year, this rut can keep you tied down and thus distracting your energy from where it might be applied most usefully to create the end result that you like. One of the keys about recognizing that you're in a rut is that you're not happy, that you have moved yourself to a point of acceptance. I'm not happy, but I keep going. Sometimes it's depression. If you're experiencing depression, thank you so much, JC and Dr. J and Sade. Thanks for joining us. If you find yourself in a rut of depression all the time, and it's almost like a low level of depression, but it's always there, that's a good sign that you're in a rut and you need to make a change. If you're self-medicating, and you don't have to be a junkie out on the streets, but if you're self-medicating with that drink, I got to have a drink every day, alcohol, drugs, whatever locks your attention, your feeling nature, your sensation, that may be a sign that you're in a rut. And so the question arises today, how do you get out of a rut? What do you do to get yourself unstuck? Well, number one, you have to realize that you're in a rut. Until you're unhappy enough with that rut, it will not change. There's a story of some fellows up in Detroit working in the car dealer, the car manufacturer. And this one young man, every time he came in, he brought his lunch pail and he'd open his lunch pail and he'd look inside and he'd say, oh, crap, peanut butter and jelly again. And every day this went on, Monday through Friday. So finally, one of his coworkers said, hey, Bob, he says, why don't you tell your wife to make you something different? He says, I don't have a wife. He said, well, who makes you a sandwich every day? I do. And so the message there is, we create the very mindset, we create the very activities that perpetuate the rut that we complain about and the rut that's making us unhappy. So the first key is to recognize that you're in a rut because you're unhappy, because you're self-medicating, because you're comfortable in your situation. Number two, focus on the things you love doing. If you love doing it, someone once said, if you love what you're doing, you'll never work again. So if you're in a rut and things are not going, you're depressed and unhappy, then focus on what you love doing. Make a list of the things you love to do. Maybe you love singing. Well, I love singing. Maybe you love writing. Maybe you love painting. Maybe you love caring for others. In other words, the moment you make a list of the things you love to do, you put yourself in a position to refocus your energies. Whatever you focus on grows. So if you're in a rut and you've accepted that rut, you literally focus on sustaining and maintaining the very rut of which you're complaining. So when you make a list of the things you love to do now, it gives you an opportunity to refocus your life, to refocus your attention, because whatever you focus on grows. So make a list of the things you love doing and think about doing them. Number 2, once you have that list of the things you love doing, describe your rut now. You see, now you have another context to see your situation. When you think of the things you love doing now, you say, I'm in a job that I hate, working with people that I don't like, doing a task that I detest. So now you have something new to focus on. And now when you look at your condition, it can give you that separation energy. Now you know where you're coming from and where you're going to. You know, all journeys are either journeys from or journeys to. When you can get the two in congruence. So I'm a journey from a job that I hate. I'm a journey from a relationship that I hate. A journey from a situation that I hate. A journey to something I love doing. A journey to a person who honors and loves me and according to my demands. A journey to something that really gives me satisfaction. Number 3, look at your actions. Look at the very actions that got you into that rut. You see, it's important to identify them because the process of change requires that you replace what is with what you want it to be. So once you look at the actions that got you into that rut, now, step 5, you can make the change. You can make a new decision. Maybe getting into the rut on a job was being so dependent. You know, maybe when you came out of college or came out of high school, whenever, you were so concerned, you had a young family, you had children, etc., and your whole focus was on feeding the family, maintaining a household. And that was all you thought about, and all your energies went there. Well, now, over that period of time, maybe you've progressed along in the job market. Maybe you're no longer there. Maybe the kids are going off to school. So now, when you reevaluate yourself, now that once you look at the very things that helped you create the rut now, you can replace them with things that will take you out of that rut. Number 5, find someone to model. Often when we're in a rut, all we see is where we are. All we see is our environment. We're surrounded by the same people we've always been surrounded by. We often say, if you want to come out of prison and change your life, then change your playground. Don't hang out where you used to hang out. Change your playthings. Don't do the same things you used to do. And change your playmates. Don't hang around with the same people who helped you get into the very prison that you're coming out of. So find someone to model. And the beauty of that is, once you see that someone else is able to get out of a situation like you're in, then you know it's possible. You can roll with it. You can go with it, and you can get desired results. Number 6, say yes. You know, often when you're in a rut, you're so focused on whatever the constraints of that rut is that you don't look outside. You know, people can be in a job they hate, and someone comes along with a business opportunity. I'm a network marketer, and so often I see people who would like to change their lives. They're so afraid inside. We call it poor. Passing over opportunities repeatedly. I'll repeat that. Poor is passing over opportunities repeatedly. And so they're so afraid to change that instead of saying yes to something that could transform their lives completely, they say no. Number 7, it's always better for 2 to tango. That when you're coming out of a rut, help somebody else. Very often they say misery likes company. Well, joy likes company too. So when you see yourself coming out of this situation, look for somebody else who needs that help, because often when you start to help somebody else come out of a rut, it strengthens you. It creates that harmonic relationship where the 2 of you can support each other. Where, as a teacher, having a student, there are times when situations happen when the teacher gets a little shaky. And there's nothing like having a student say, Doc, you know how to get through this. You say, focus on the positive. Hang in there until it's done. And just having the expectations of that student, just having the expectations of another person that you're helping get out of that rut can strengthen you and keep you moving forward. Number 8, remember that a rut is only for a moment. That if you just change, you just do the different things, don't worry about the how. Don't worry about how the transformation is taking place. You just do your part. And finally, number 9, change your routine. See, one of the things about a rut, there's always an activity associated with a rut. And it may be going the same way every day, fixing the same food every day, having the same conversation every day with the same people. Change your routine, do something different, go another way. Talk to somebody you don't know. When you can do these things, then you can put yourself in a situation where you can come out of that rut. And see, when you come out of a rut, you're ready to fly. When you come out of a rut, you're now on the runway of life. See, that rut is like the trough beside the road, but once you come out of that rut, you're on the runway now. And the only limitation is your own imagination. So folks, this was kind of what do you call it? One of those kind of messages that sober you up a little bit. Because so many times we don't know that we're in a rut. But if you're not happy, if you're not excited about what you're doing, you might be in a rut. So once again, this is Dr. Herbert Harris. This has been Motivation Monday. I thank you so much for being with us. Those of you who don't have a copy of our book, get a copy of the 12 Universal Laws of Success. And listen, be on the lookout. I have been interviewing people. Let me tell you something about getting out of a rut. I have been interviewing people over the last 3 weeks. We've been looking at how people have had obstacles and challenges in their lives and what they have done to overcome them, to have their breakthrough. We're going to be sharing some of these interviews, but let me tell you, folks, I guarantee that each and every one of you has a story of victory. That each and every one of you has felt some type of challenge in your life that said, hey, this will take you out. But somehow, like David faced Goliath, you looked around for the stones of understanding and figured out a way to get through it. So go to my website, go to my link tree, herbertharris.info, www.herbertharris.info. And there's a tab there that says, make a call, schedule a call. Schedule a call with me, and I will speak with you personally. And I'd love to hear about your challenge and your breakthrough. Once again, you can be what you want to be, do what you want to do, and have whatever you want to have, always knowing that the best is yet to come. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And so it is.